It would be nice.
Yeah, I have no camera, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, I bet. That's why
Yeah.
is. But it'd be good if you guys, maybe Carl, you want to tell Troy your method, or Troy, maybe you want to speak about the way you go about things. How do you want to do it?
I don't mind. I mean, hi Troy, how you doing? You okay? I mean, like, Caroline sent me over one of your videos the other day about the mortgages.
Hey, Carl.
Hi, how you doing?
I take it that Delroy hasn't introduced you then?
No.
He hasn't told you anything about each other? Okay.
No.
Because we had a session with Delroy the other day and he was very excited. So we thought he would have mentioned what happened. But anyway, Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I know they wanted to bring us together, Troy. So, I mean, like, I know I watched, Caroline sent me one of your videos the other day with Mark Ceylon and them lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've known him from years ago anyway. So, but yeah, I've seen what you're saying about the with the three different things you've done with the political, religious, and commerce, and then the trust, the grantor, and the beneficiary, and then God, man, corporation. I understand all of that as well, but I'm just finding out where you're coming from, and how are you doing basically, if I was to ask you the question, show me some identification, what would you show me?
I'd say myself. That's my ID.
Right. No, but I'm just saying, if which is fine, but I mean, like, just to the general public.
Yeah.
What identification do you have?
I don't have any. I don't walk around with ID at all.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have ID. I don't have official ID. I'm creating one for myself. Usually in the old days, I used to have an affidavit, which is a declaration of rights. And that's what used to be my ID. So that's what I used to have in my pocket all the time. If you stop me, then I have it's a fee schedule. It's got my picture on it and all the details. But I don't carry official ID at all. Not a single one.
Okay, but do you have a passport, and do you have a driving license, and do you have a birth certificate and all that business?
No.
You don't have one?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I got rid of my paper before I knew what they were. You see, before I even understood how it worked, I just felt I didn't want to be attached to these things, and I got rid of my stuff in 1990 or those days.
Right.
I've been maneuvering without ever since.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, again, if it works for you, that's all what really matters. Do you see?
Yeah. Ultimately, you want to be doing these things to make sure it works for you, because everyone's got different circumstances. So it's not one suits all. You have to do as much as you need for the time where you're in. Some people don't. They might need a passport to travel because they travel for business or whatever, or a driver's license just to get a job. You might need that. But for me, I jumped into this years ago, so I maneuver around all these barriers and try to live outside of their system. So I don't have any ID. And if you ask me for ID, I either produce one I create myself, or explain to you that I'm ID enough, because I'm here now. I don't have to prove anything else.
There you go. Yeah.
By being in front of you, that's proof enough that I exist. I'm in front of you. I don't need a piece of paper to prove who I am, because by producing paper, that's just proof agency, as they call it. That's proof of agency, that you're a government agent. That's why you have official government paperwork. Totally.
And
that's the joinder, and then you're in.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have no ID myself.
Okay, so you know all the, It's like Leslie asked that question just a minute ago about having identification to set up the account, basically what we're doing at the moment. You know, with your, have you set up trust and stuff as well?
I set up my one years ago, but then the Bacon boys came after me. So I had to move down, and they moved me around a little bit. So the trust is set up, but it's not functioning, if you see. It's not distributing yet, but it's there. But I've set up other trusts for other people who are I don't know if they're using it. What I do now is I do the trust deed, and then I go through all the articles and explain how to use it. When I give it to them. But I'm not in regular contact with them. There's some people set up their trusts years ago, and I haven't seen them since. I'm doing one for someone else now at the moment. It's just drafting the deed and going through it with them, and also focusing mainly on the language business. You see, so the trust is written in proper language, in English, and not in legalese. You see, and that should be a barrier them coming in, because they cannot write in proper language. They have to write in fictitious language. So if you draft your constituting document in proper language and to instruct the trustees to only conduct business and to enter contracts in the proper language, they cannot engage anymore. So that's our standpoint, is trying to beat them on the language and leave it at that.
Do you see what you're saying, Caroline? What I was talking to you about, the language side of things.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it also as well, did you hear what he said about it's a trust deed?
Yeah. Deed. Yes.
So the thing about it is just a trust, but your title deed is your trust.
Yeah.
You see?
Because I haven't told him your route. I haven't told him what you do. So you could probably explain that at this point.
Yeah. I mean, like basically, Troy, what I've done basically, I went and bought the name as a corporation, because we all know that we're a corporation, because a corporation can only do business with another corporation.
Yep.
Right. So if they don't have the power to actually write to that corporation, then basically game over. So what I did, I went to Companies House and bought the name as a corporation, my full name, what's on the birth certificate. So now that makes me private, which is a private corporation now. So they can't do business with a private corporation unless you contract with them.
Yep.
Because all business is done through contract.
Yep.
And that's why we get the capital letter name, and that's why they write in legalese, which is sign language, Chicago Manual of Style.
Yep. And it's hieroglyphic text and corporate logos. It's not proper language.
Well, it's sign language.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I haven't done the company. Is it registration? I don't know how it works, so I can't really comment on that.
Yeah. No, basically, all it is, because the thing about it, as you know, well, do you know that you're a corporation made at birth?
Yep.
Okay. So if you're a corporation made at birth, who actually owns that corporation?
Presumably, whoever has the legal title.
But no one has a legal title because it's given to you under implied rights.
Yeah, it's all presumptions.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying to you. So if it's given to you under implied rights, then who owns it?
Whoever gives out the license is the owner.
Right. So that's the birth registrar.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing about it, do you understand the four corners rule as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So if your birth certificate is in a box, your name's in a box and all your information's in the box, then there's actually nothing on that document.
If it's in a box.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire document is invalid anyway, due to its construction.
Totally. Because there's two names on the birth certificate, there's two languages, there's two date of birth.
It's invalid for errors. It's too many boxes in there to start with.
Yes.
The styling is incorrect in form of language, you see, and that makes it invalid to start with. So, so my standpoint is whatever they do from scratch.
Yes.
As soon as they contact you, that's a fraud to begin with.
Yeah.
That's why I don't engage with them in any capacity at all. I just don't deal with them because they're fraudsters.
Yeah, same. I do exactly the same.
So the birth certificate. So the birth certificate is invalid for those reasons. You can syntax it just by itself and send it back to them and say to them it's an invalid document they cannot enforce.
That's it. Totally.
Yeah.
Again, your method. I mean, like, I've done the same method, and I used to do the same method 10 years ago, but I've moved on from that. Because the thing about it, I mean, like, what you're doing, no disrespect, everything you're doing is perfect and is correct. That's the thing. That's the way we're doing it. But the thing about it, you're still doing it under the birth certificate. You're still in the public domain, should I say. That's why they can still write to you, because you're in the public domain still. Once you buy your name as a corporation, that's a private limited company, and it goes into the private, which makes you the private person. So let me just close this window. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, when you said you syntax the birth certificate, do you mean using the David Wynne-Miller construct?
Yeah, and if you use Styles Manual, or the Oxford one, as well as Chicago Manual Styles. I mean, Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition also specifies that language is for the illiterate.
Yeah, Dog Latin. And Law Latin.
Yeah. So you can refer them to that and say, because you expect that they're not immoral people and illiterate people, being that they're judges and lawyers and all this stuff, you expect they won't be writing to you this stupid language ever again, and for them to write in proper language.
This is it.
You see.
See, they don't write in descriptive text, which is English grammar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see. Yeah. So the thing about it, I mean, like, sorry, 1 second.
Troy, did they ever acknowledge what you did? Presumably not.
Who?
Well, when you wrote to the registrar and said it was an invalid document, did you get anything back?
No. I'm saying I threw away my paperwork long before I knew this business.
Right.
So I just got rid of it. I just put it in a bin. In those days, I didn't know how to write to government and explain to them. Yeah. So I came across this information almost 10 years after I got rid of my paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I never got the chance to write to them then.
Got it.
Yeah.
Can I just say something? This is Michael. In terms of throwing something in the bin, if someone sends you something and you don't respond, you've deemed to have accepted it by tacit acquiescence, surely.
Not necessarily, because if they write into a fictitious person, they're not writing to anybody.
They're trying their luck. That's what they're doing. They're writing. What they're doing is they're summoning the dead. So they're writing out a letter in anyone's name and sending it out there, and hoping that a living man is going to attach himself to it and claim it and claim to be the fiction, and that's how they get you.
Yeah.
So you don't have to respond if you know what you're doing, but they won't stop. They'll keep writing, trying their luck, because that's their nature of business.
Yeah. And they're hoping that you don't actually know that you are a corporation in capital letters. Because when you see your name on a document, you're taking it and thinking, oh, that's me. And then you open it. As soon as you open it, you contract.
Yeah.
Best thing to do is just
you've claimed it.
Throw it in the bin, or put 2 lines for it, return to sender, no contract, no consent, put a date on it, send it back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's different. But that's different though, isn't it? But that's different. So what you've just said, Carl, I would say is more correct than just throwing it in the bin.
Sure. But the thing about it, at the end of the day, if they're looking for a fictitious artificial legal person, and that artificial legal person doesn't exist, then how can the letter come to you?
So who registered the birth?
Sorry?
Who registered the birth? Take it back to the beginning. Someone actually registered the birth.
Yeah? The birth registrar.
A living person registered the birth.
Yeah.
Sure.
If they created a fraud after that point, that needs to be rebutted. Throwing it in the bin doesn't actually rebut that. What it does is it gives it more credence and it supports what's happening.
I totally agree with what you're saying, but again, that goes under the birth certificate. Now, if you was to ask them for the birth notification form, that's a different document. Because when you look at the birth notification form, that's actually the ledger. Because on one side, on the left, you got the debit, which is all the different people who's on that document, including your brothers and sisters. Now, when you look on the right side, which is the creditor, there's the registration stamp. So the actual birth notification form is a ledger. Actually, I've got a copy. Let me see. 1 second. I showed you guys. You remember I sent that video about the double bookkeeping entry.
Yeah.
Right. So the double bookkeeping entry you had on the left-hand side, you had the debit, and then on the right-hand side, you had the creditor.
Yeah.
So that's basically what this is. That's the birth notification form. Now on this side, this is the debit side. And you've got a line down the middle. And here you've got the registration stamp, which is, because up here you've got the date of birth for the child, for the infant.
Yeah.
And then over here you got the registration stamp for the creditor's forenames. So that would be Carmichael's stamp, because that was given to me 2 months later, which was in August. My date of birth was in June.
Right.
So 2 months later, they registered, and that was for the surname, Brian. So all of this section here is all related to the legal fiction, because that's the debit, that's the debtor.
Yeah.
Then this side is the creditor, which is the stamps there, the register stamp. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see register stamp?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the register stamp. And that would be the stamp which comes 2 months later for your Christian name, basically, the forenames. So as we know, when we was born, we was all given a surname first to say this is from the family Brian.
Yeah.
So Brian, you would become the debtor.
Yeah.
2 months later, you're given your name, which is your given name, your Christian name, Carmichael, for example, and that's put in and stamped on the right-hand side, which is the registered date. So on your birth certificate, you've got your date of birth at the top with the box with the child, and then down at the bottom, on the right-hand side, you've got the registration date. Now, the registration date is what they use to go into your trust account, basically, at the Treasury or the Sestri KV Trust. You see, so when you buy yourself FAC, which is the title deed document, yeah, there's no boxes on this form.
Right.
So that means you've just grown into the adult and you're taking back full responsibility and liability for what that adult does. So if you choose to contract with people, that's up to you.
Yeah.
You see, and then you create a contract there and then join it there, but you don't have to. That's why I make the company dormant, so no one can actually write to that. So if anybody approaches you, you can say, well, hold up a minute, you're approaching a dormant company in capital letters.
How's that sound to you, Troy?
Oh, that sounds pretty good. I'm going to have to do that because somebody I'm dealing with has some issue. That would be important to let him know. What I've done is trademarking more than the other one Carl's talking about. So it's going to be worth doing this one as well. Because what we do. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Sorry, go on. All right. Yeah, all I was going to say is that the trademark, the copyright, basically, they're still done, but you're still under your birth certificate when you trademark something or you copyright something. Your foundation document is still your birth certificate. When you get the full title deed, that becomes your new birth certificate. I mean, like on the pamphlet itself, this comes with it, right? I don't know if you can read that, but it says there. Look at the first line. You can now.
We thought as your company birth certificate.
Right. So if that's your new company's birth certificate and it's got your name on it, that means it's your birth certificate.
Okay, understood.
Now, that's the title deed, which is the highest document you can have. It's like buying a house and you get in the title deed for the house. You're buying the name and the company, so you get in the title deed for the name and the company. Yeah. So it's up to you now to do contracts. Now that is basically the trademark, the copyright, the company name, everything in one. Everything's encompassed in that one document.
That's a good one. Okay, I'm going to look into this and I use it because, like I said, there's somebody who is into some business right now and he's got a case, and this will come very, very handy. So is it what is it called? Because trademarking as opposed to, what is this one specifically?
This is just a company's house. You're buying a private limited company. Sorry, one sec. So you're actually buying a private limited company. It puts you into private. You see it there?
Yep.
You see?
And what's the process?
You just go online.
In a form.
No, you just go online. You just fill out the name, basically, of the company, and then you fill out the owner, and then that's it. Basically, you just go through the process.
And then they send you a certificate after a while, presumably. The title.
24 hours later.
Yeah.
How long? 24?
4 hours.
Yeah, next day.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Wow. Because if that's all you got to do, then it's going to help a lot of people.
Of course it is. The thing about it, it takes you right out. It puts you in the private. Because remember, as I said to you about the boxes on a birth certificate,
Mm.
The boxes on the birth certificate actually removes you and your information from the document, which is the bond document, which is a share document.
Yep.
You see, because you got the top right a number, which every birth certificate you order, the number will change.
Yeah.
And you might even get different letters. So it might be a different resource company putting into that document.
Yeah.
You see, so now, because again, as I said, when you look at the birth certificate, if you was to take your birth certificate in, I know you say you don't have one, or you know what I mean, but if you was to go and take your birth certificate into a bank now, who are you actually opening up the bank account for with the birth certificate?
Ideally for yourself.
But who's yourself?
The strawman is the signatory.
No, don't
signatory of the strawman.
Don't get into the straw man at the moment. I'm just looking at what it actually says on the birth certificate. So if you went and gave the document in, what would they see on the document? It basically, I'll just say, basically, when you give over the document, you're giving over the child's document. That's why there's a box, because it's the child actually in a playpen cage.
Yeah.
That's what the box is. It's a playpen. Now, when you've grown up and you're competent, you're liable, and you're fully responsible for the actions you do, then they take your name out the box and they actually put it on one whole page, which is the title deed, which makes you an adult. So there's nothing what's holding you in prison, basically. The box is a prison.
The cell.
So now the thing about it, when you get, so yeah, I look at it as a cell, because the thing about it, if you see on the birth certificate, it states that the certified copy of an entry, it's not even called a birth certificate, it's called a certified copy of an entry.
Certified copy, always is.
So the certified copy of an entry basically is basically a child document. I forgot, lost my train of thought.
An event, isn't it? It's a record of an event.
Yeah, it's a record, but the thing about it, it's a certified copy of an entry. The question is, what was the entry? Now, the birth notification form, what I just showed you, was the entry.
Okay.
So we need to get back the birth notification form from the hospital, which is in our mother's records.
Yeah.
You see, but the thing about it...
Or the record of live birth.
You see, the thing...
It's record of live birth, as Carl's been trying to tell us.
Sorry, say that again?
He just said, Troy just said a record of live birth, but you've made it clear that there is no such thing as a record of live birth.
Yeah,
America.
That's what we have. We have the birth notification form, the BNF. This is the manual for the document itself. It's the midwife's manual. Yeah. Now the thing about it, as I said, if we look at this again, and we look at the way they've written forenames and stuff like that, and sorry, I know it's a bit blurry. Sorry, my camera's a bit blurry. Sticky tape. It's a bit blurry, but anyway,
Mine's frozen completely.
On there, it's got forenames, and it's written in capital letter. So the thing about it, what my question is if it's written in capital letter, it should be in the legal book, because it's legalese. Now, when you go to the Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition, 8th edition, Bouvier's, you won't see the name forename written in capital letters, which is written in legalese, which is on this document. Forenames is actually praenomen. But when you go to Black's Law Dictionary, they actually type it out as presnomen, which is P-R-Z-E. So they make a spelling mistake in the dictionary as well, so you don't even find it. This is how cunning it is, because you can go to Oxford Dictionary and type in praenomen, P-R-A-E-N-O-M-E-N, and see the word that's what the Christian name, forename, first names is. But in Black's Law Dictionary, they spell it P-R-Z-E, which is another falsified thing. So again, forename isn't even in a document. So if they're writing forename on the birth notification form and they've got boxes, you see, there's hardly any boxes on this form actually. There's only that one registration stamp box, and there's this little box up here. But other than that, there's no real boxes on the page.
One thing that strikes me, Carl, looking at that birth notification form, on the right-hand side of it, you've got the registrar's stamp, and you presumably have a signature.
Yeah, that's the signature of the registrar.
So that's a properly executed deed.
This is it.
But when you come to the company registration document, there's no stamp, there's no signature. So it's an improperly executed deed.
What, this one?
Yeah.
This is the stamp. This is the company's register stamp.
Ah, but there's still no signature.
No, you wouldn't have a signature on it.
But that makes it an invalid deed, doesn't
But
it?
you've got the seal.
Yeah, but the
Seal
yeah,
and the registrar's stamp basically just gives you that this is now a corporation. Because remember, you're dealing with a sentient being here. You're not dealing with a sentient being here.
yeah. I'm just thinking
Your name written in capital.
of whether that's a correct deed, but then I seem to remember that the company seal can stand in place of a signature, can't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I take that back. Right.
And the thing about it, what it is, you're opening up an artificial legal entity corporation.
Yeah.
You see, it's still an artificial person.
Yeah.
Because a person, as you know, an artificial person is a corporation.
Yeah.
So no one's going to sign a document like they do when they're sending you other documents. Like, say, for a parking ticket, they'll write your name. Nobody would sign it on their end, or your gas bill, or your electric bill. No one would actually sign it on their end. Because no one wants to be held liable and responsible for the dealings. Do you see? I asked, who did I ask? I think it was Mike. It might have been Mike. It might have been Leroy. Okay, here's a question. Who provides you the gas?
Transco.
Utility company.
Okay. But who provides you the gas?
The distribution system.
Okay.
Well,
but,
no, you provide it yourself. It's yours.
but
Well,
there
yeah.
you go. Who provides you the gas?
Nobody can claim to.
There you go. So the thing about it, what I was saying there on that kind of level is, if they tried to take you to court for not paying your gas bill, you're saying, well, who's providing me the gas?
Yeah.
Because the gas bill, as you said, Transco or E.ON or British Gas, they're providing the meter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not providing the gas.
Yeah.
So you're telling me I'm paying the gas bill, but can the gas man or the man who actually owns the gas, can he come into court and say that I've taken gas off him? He can't.
No.
That's why they need us to go in there, as Troy was saying about going in there, that fiction, and they can try and get hold of you by phishing you.
Yeah.
Phishing, phishing. They throw the letter out, you see it, you think, oh, that's me. Yeah. And you open it, and then they've got you, basically.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is just put lines through it, send it back, because there is no one of that such. But as soon as you get this, there has to be a contract in play from British Gas to your company, because you are the director, you are the authorized agent of your company.
Yeah.
And if the company's dormant and you set it as dormant forever, how are they going to have a contract with you? They can't.
But that means you can never move out of dormant state.
No, you can move out of dormancy whenever you want. If I wanted to put something in this,
Right.
I can open it today and close it today.
Yeah.
All I've got to do is go online, open it up, say if I had £50,000 to put in there, I can go on there today, open it up, put the £50,000 in, and close it later on today.
Right.
Then you'd be liable for tax, right?
Would you like who's liable for tax?
Would you not be liable? Would they not then contact HMRC and?
But why would they? No, because you're investing in your company. You're the director. You're the one who's investing in it. If you want to put money in there,
yes,
that's the thing. And the thing about it, even if you do get this, you are allowed to earn up to 125,000 without paying tax.
Yes.
So if you don't reach that threshold, there's no point in opening up a company. That's why what Troy said about trademark. That's the reason I made a trademark for my company. One second, let me just switch off the camera for a second. So you see, I've got Hornsey Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my trademark. And that's registered trademark. Now, I can use that on all my invoices because it's not earning 125,000 within the year. So because I don't reach that threshold, I don't have to make it into a company. Once it hits that threshold, then I have to make it into a company and pay tax on it.
Mm.
But until I reach that threshold, don't have to pay tax for Hornsey Wood. That can just be a trademark.
Mm.
You see? So I can say to them, well, I'm not earning enough. I'm putting this name on my invoice because I'm not earning enough. And if I do earn enough, then I will register it as a company and do business as a company. But until then, there's no point me going and doing all the paperwork and this and that and blah, 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 et cetera, when I don't need to pay tax because I've only earned 50 grand in the year. I haven't reached the threshold, the 125, or gone above that.
And that trademark's not entered in any place officially?
Well, the same thing, the trademark would be registered at Companies House. Copyright would be registered at Companies House. Companies would be registered at Companies House. Everything to do with that basically would be registered at Companies House because it's the Queen's company.
Was it registered at the Intellectual Property Office as well, the trademark?
Yeah, that's basically the whole thing. Everything comes under Companies House. The intellectual property, the company, the copyright, everything else.
So, Carl, that Hornsey Wood trademark is attached to the Carmichael Bryan company?
No, nothing.
Right.
I opened up Hornsey Wood, but it's the same thing. I opened up Hornsey Wood, and then the owner is Carmichael Bryan. Do you see? Uppercase, lowercase.
So you've got a separate company called Hornsey Wood?
Well, it's not a company. It's just a trademark.
Okay.
You don't have to have
the trademark. Just it's about why we do the trademarking. Like I said, I'm not familiar with your process. So I don't know how to use it. But the reason why we trademark is that you're going trademark your straw name.
Yes.
As a private trust. And then it goes out for 2 months, and then you get the confirmation that you can use it.
That's it.
Once you have that as a trademark or a trade name, then anyone who uses it, then you can sue them for breach of intellectual property, and that's how to get rid of them.
Perfect.
So you don't have to get too deep with them.
Perfect.
Just trademark the name, and as soon as they send you a bill or anything like that, then you can ask them by what authority they're using that name, because it's a registered trade name.
That's
and keep them at bay that way. You see, that's why we register, we trademark these names.
Yeah.
You see, just to protect your intellectual property.
Of course. But that's the thing. That's why we do the title deed. That's why we buy the name as a company, and we make the company dormant, because it's stronger than a trademark. Yeah, that's definitely the next thing I'm going to do for my people on this end is look into this, what you're talking about. Yeah. And as soon as we learn more about it, then it seems to be a pretty solid process. So you're going to use that all the time. The thing about it, Troy, as it says private. Yeah. Yeah. So the thing about it, the thing about it, if a corporation or a person is a corporation, remember there's 5 definitions of the word person in Black's Law Dictionary. There's man, there's human, there's artificial legal person, there's natural person, and there's private person. Natural person has 2 definitions. You got natural freeborn subject, or you got natural fool. Yeah. That's the thing. So once you put yourself in the private, absolute, it's not held in any incumbents of any office. Yeah. So you don't have to answer to anybody in any office, because the private is not. Now, when you do trademark, it's still in that. It's still public. Area. It's still public. I mean, the private side. They still can't use it. They still can't use it because that's your intellectual property right. As you say correctly, they still can't use it. Yeah, I mean, our approach is to set up a private trust, you see. So you register, not to register, to create a private trust, and then give them notice of the private trust. That is the private trust. That is the private trust. A trust in substance, which means you're going to have an office with trustees and a board of directors and all that. Yeah, but that's what it is. Like that. That's what it is. You see, that's what it is. It's just a dormant trust. It's a company. A trust is a company. It's just a dormant one. That's all. But you get full everything from Companies House to say, right, we're stamping that. That's legit. No one can argue with that document. Yeah. But if you was to make it trade exactly what you're saying, you have to have 3 people. You have to have your accountant, you have to have the beneficiary, and you have to have the trustee, of course. Yeah. The legal team. Well, where they see it is with the company, you have to have 2 or 3 people running the company. So you have your legal, you have your accountant, and then you have your beneficiary, of course, or the trustee or whatever. Yeah. You see.
Yeah, so everything needs to end up in the private. Everything needs to end up in the private. The only way we're going to get out of it, I explain to people all the time, is understanding the difference between the private and the public. And also constitutional law being public law and tax law being public law. So that you know that once you resign from public life and you go into private, all these public laws don't apply on you anymore.
That's it.
You see. And that goes as far as public courts. So if they're going to sue you, they have to sue you in private and go through arbitration. You see, they cannot sue you in these fake courts.
Yeah.
You see. So I'm encouraging everyone to go private. And if this registration of companies is going to help you go private, then that's where we're going to go. But everyone needs to be private, away from public law. Because public law right now is not public law anymore, it's public policy.
Yes.
And policy is being governed by a shadowy bunch of government who we don't know anything about. Yeah. So we've come to a point where we don't trust these people. They're not working in our best interest. We don't want to do business with them anymore. We're going to branch out and we're going to set ourselves up by ourselves because we have the right to do it. We are living beings, and they have no authority over us anyway. That's gone. They've breached the contract. The contract is cancelled, and we're going to create our own contract so we can live together in harmony between ourselves without their interference. That's what I'm saying. So whichever way we do it, we're going to do it anyway.
Of course. Yeah. And that's the beauty about it. Everywhere we're kind of like doing, like yourself, like myself, we're all doing it to claim the private.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the main thing. As long as you're in the private, and even if it says private on there, they can't do nothing. Nothing. Because we know that they're using, again, as I said, have you got that book, the Chicago Manual of Style? Yeah.
I had it. I had it for many years, but the last what do you call it? Incidents I had with them. I've lost my books. I've lost my manuals. So I'm going to have to buy new ones. But I had that for many years, Chicago. How
did you lose them?
Well, kind of like they locked my stuff up in my flat and they would let me in again. So they locked me out with my clothes and left everything in there. They took my memory sticks, my phones, everything. So they just don't let me back in the house.
I'm just saying one thing. As soon as you do this, right, they can't do any of that to you. As soon as you do that, they can't do nothing like that to you. Because the thing about it, as I said to Caroline as well.
How could I do that then? That's the next move.
what I was saying to Caroline as well, she was talking about the mortgages and stuff. And I said, well, the thing about it, you go to land registry. Once you do this and you go to land registry, then you can tell land registry to turn your land into private rather than public. You see? Because land registry holds everybody's land in public.
In public, yeah.
That's it. So when you get the title deed, you turn it over into private, so no one can come on your land.
Okay, wonderful. Because I have all these people with mortgages, possession orders that we need to sort out. So, because I don't have one, I don't have a mortgage, I don't have a birth certificate. So, but they need this help more than I do.
Yeah.
So if this is going to help them, then I'm on it today. And by tomorrow and the next day, we're drafting documents and sending things out.
This is it.
Yeah.
And I think
it's going to be done now.
Sorry. The thing about
I'm saying what? Yeah, go on. I'm saying that the critical thing is this: the devil man, he wants land. That's what he wants to deprive man of, is land. So land is what we need, because once we have land, we can grow our own food.
That's it.
We can be self-sufficient.
That's why they took all the seeds and put them in the slug bar
in the bank. Exactly.
So we can't have natural seeds.
Nowadays, you can't even find fruit with seeds. Where do the seeds go?
But
the seed is what's important, you see. We need our own seeds, plant our own food, and grow our own crops, and just live in harmony. That's it. So if this is going to help people get a little bit of land, they can stay there and grow their own food. That's what we're looking for. But
basically,
completely away from public service.
Certainly. Sorry, let me just add on to that as well. Basically, what I was saying about what I said to Caroline and the others as well. Remember when you go back to what Hitler did? He wrote the 6-digit number on the people's arms.
Yeah.
Then Himmler went around killing them people.
Yeah.
The number what was on the arm was the birth certificate number.
Exactly.
So they could claim them natural resources. All them people they killed, they claimed their natural resources.
Yeah.
And they had all the money from that.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about this now is a peaceful protest. Because the thing about it, abolition of slavery, as you just mentioned just there about growing your own food and having your own land. Now, abolition of slavery What happened? When the slaves were freed, they were given 2 acres and a mule.
Yeah.
This is the abolition of slavery in our day now.
Yeah. Oh,
Now, the thing about
exactly.
it, when you say we have granted to us from the Queen are 2 acres and a mule. That's where it comes down to the grantor, the beneficiary, and the trustee. When you were talking about the mortgages and stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
you see, you have the grantor, which is the Queen.
Yeah.
The Queen grants you your property, your possession. You are the beneficiary. Now, the fiduciary or the birth registrar becomes your trustee.
The trustee.
So you go and tell them what you want. They sort it out for you. This is what I was saying.
The birth registrar or the treasury? When you say
Whoever
All of them,
it is,
anyway. All the public servants will become your fiduciaries.
this is it. Everybody will become your public servant.
Yeah.
So that's
As
what
it
I'm
should be.
saying is like, well, that's what I said on the other call with Bibi the other day and stuff like that. It's like, well, you're doing all the UCC and you're doing all this and you're doing all that. Once you do this, you just go to them and say to them, I need to do this. And they say, okay, cool, blah, blah, blah. And they'll do it for you because they're your public servant.
Yeah.
When you carry the birth certificate or the passport or the driving license, they're not your public servant because you are the lowest rank. That's why you have Mr. and Mrs. on your letters, because you belong to the Navy and Admiralty law. When you come into the private, they don't use Mr. and Mrs. no more. So they take you out of the Navy, they take you out of Admiralty and then put you back on land. Now, when you're on land, a man or a woman doesn't have Mr. and Mrs. on their name because they're not in the water or on the ship.
Yep.
And that's for Navy. That's like being a private.
Yep.
We're the lowest rank.
Yeah. Maritime Admiralty law.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, can you go through that issue about going to land registry? Once you set up the company, you
Right.
would go to land registry. You've already got, say, a mortgage charge on it and other charges. How do you, what do you do to get the land made private without those charges on it?
Well, the thing about it, I mean, like, as I said to Caroline, it's like, all right, with the mortgage, if you buy this, the mortgage, when you went to the bank, you gave them your birth certificate.
Yeah.
Now, as I said on the birth notification form, you got the date of birth up here.
Yeah.
And you got the name.
Yeah.
This is the debtor's side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you go in, they ask you for your name and your date of the birth.
Yeah.
On the debtor's side.
Yeah.
They go into the registered account, which is 2 months later, and it's the Christian name, Carmichael, and they take the money out of that account to pay this side. Do you see? So they take the money out of the creditors, they put it into the debtor, but it's all your money anyway.
Yeah.
If you close that account down, how can they come after you for money? Because where are they going to put the money to after? If your account's closed and they took that out of there in the first place, they can't put it back because you closed it.
But you presumably have to do something in land registry direction.
So when you go into land registry, you check the location in the blueprint or whatever, and you see it and you check out, okay, who owns the house and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you see through that. Basically, I haven't done it myself, of course, but I have called them and I have spoken to them and whatever. But because my name isn't on the house, I couldn't do anything. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, again, let them be your public servant. Go to them, talk to them, ask them and say, look, my house is in public. I've just got the title deed or whatever. You don't even have to tell them. You just say, I want to make my my land private. Ask them if it's public or in the private. They'll say it's in the public. Say to them, okay, so I want to put it into the private. And then you just take a photocopy or a PDF or whatever and send your title deed to the land registry.
Oh.
And they see that it's private now.
Yeah, in fact, I think this might come in handy. I mean, I've used this before. It's called an affidavit of satisfaction. I
There you
presume
go.
you can use something similar.
Well, that's
Which
the affidavit. That's your
um,
declaration and everything. That's everything in one, Compass. That's everything in one.
I'm saying something drafted specifically for land registry in order to make them act. Because our one says the mortgage has been satisfied and it gives the details of the land.
Mm.
And I presume that will be the next step what is it? Again,
Carl.
Ligel?
Leslie.
Leslie. Sorry,
Yeah.
what Leslie is referring to. I
Yes.
suppose if you want to deal with land registry, you could give them information about the new company, and then write them a letter or an instruction showing that the affidavit has been satisfied, and they should change their records, and then give them the new details. I think that would be the next move for that.
Totally.
Do you have a
Yeah.
copy
I
of
mean,
the
that's what I'm thinking
affidavit,
anyway.
please?
Sorry.
I have one. I have an affidavit of satisfaction to do with mortgages. If you're ever interested,
Yes,
I have-
please, if you can share it, if you don't mind.
I don't know how to get it to you. How do you
Okay.
guys operate? How do you?
You can
transfer
send it, maybe
documents?
you
got
can
an
send
email
it.
address, Troy?
Say again?
Have you got an email address?
Yeah.
His email address.
Yeah.
And you've
Carol-
got his email address, huh?
Yeah, Caroline has got my email address.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you just send me what you need through that email,
Okay.
and I'll send you my affidavits. But I have an affidavit of satisfaction to do with land registry. We've used this before years ago. But you could always modify it to suit your new circumstance. But the wording is perfect. You could just choose what you need. What it does say, it identifies the property, the title deed number, a few more details, and gives instruction to the chief land registrar to correct their records.
Yeah.
And you can do it under DPA as well, which is data protection. As a data subject, you have a right to correction.
Yeah.
So if they're holding information which is incorrect, you can use it that way. So you can change the record based on a DPA. So
Have
you,
have you been successful with it?
because I don't have a mortgage, for me, I draft documents and give it to
Your
people who need them.
clients, have your clients been successful?
So far, yeah. I mean, I've done 2 mortgages in the last year. I'm talking about the things I doing about 5-6 years ago. So I think 2 or 3 of them were successful.
Can I ask you a question on that? How long did it take you to do that process?
We'll draft an affidavit.
Yeah, and just get all that mortgage sorted out.
The mortgage takes about at least 3 months. Our process takes 3 months because we begin from we do 3 letters to deal with the bank, and then we draft. If they don't perform, we do an agreement that gets notarized, which is a private settlement agreement.
That's right.
So the first one is a conditional acceptance. So we agree to pay you a mortgage based on certain conditions. So produce the mortgage, produce who's the beneficiary, this, that, and the other. Second letter, they don't respond. Third letter, you certify the commercial dishonor. So it's a notice of commercial dishonor. And then you draft an agreement that they haven't performed, and therefore the mortgage is null and void, or a specific word to that effect. And then you get that notarized, and that's what you use as your defense or your claim or counterclaim.
Because the only reason I asked that is because the thing about it, again, going back to this document, I've got to keep coming back to this document. None of that has to be done. Once you show them this, no paperwork has to be done.
I mean, for me, this is very good because for me, this will be the icing on the cake because we've done everything else under that. I've done so many mortgages for so many years. I've done the statutory one as well, you know, where you identify actually the statute, which says the mortgage is null and void, but they always argue. Their lawyers bring in argument, and they bring case law and this and the other. In those cases, drag too long, you see.
Of course they will.
But this one is going to be the icing. Because the way I've seen on the screen, the way it's drafted a private company, and we're talking about private.
Sure.
And everything we do on this side is private nowadays.
This is it.
So everything we do, you're gone.
But the thing about it, what I was saying is the reason you're doing all the lettering and stuff and for your clients or whatever is because they are doing everything under a birth certificate.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about it, if the birth certificate is owned by the system, it's going to be more difficult. You see, so that's what I'm saying. When now you're saying about going into the private, which is the title deed document again, you are the private, so they know not to even mess around with you because they know that there's so when we're born, we're made into corporations, but we don't seem to realize that. Now, the thing about it, all we're doing, we're just still being the corporation, but we're just managing it ourselves now.
Yeah.
We're taking it off the system's hands and we're measuring it. Because again, me and Caroline, I went down to the bank, Caroline went down to the bank, and it's a retail account we've got, which is a public account, which is still a business account because it's a personal retail account. They don't tell you it's a retail account. You see, but you've opened that. People have opened that with either their birth certificate, passport, driving license or whatever. So you're still opening up that retail account with your passport. If I go to the bank tomorrow, which I went down there today and I got the number because I got to phone them to sort out a business meeting to get a business account. Now, once you do that, that's the only document you have to provide. You don't even have to provide your birth certificate, nothing. Because that is your company birth.
So do they accept?
Say that again.
Do they accept that? Do they accept that document as so-called official identification?
What, the title deed?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is your company document. That's the mother of all documents, basically.
I say, do they? Because when you go to the bank, okay, fine, we might know this stuff, but the guys at the desk have no idea about it. So if you show up with this document, they still want to see something with a picture and the name.
No, that's fine. Because I went to the bank the other day, Sony Caroline, and I went in there and I put this document under the counter, and I said to the girl, could you take a copy of it and put this in my account and turn my account into a private account? Then she said, okay, let me just call the manager. Manager came around. I said the same thing to him. He said to me, well, this is a limited company. And I said, yes, I know, but it's me.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And he was like, well, what you've got to do, you've got to open up a business account. Because now you are coming forward and you're taking full liability and responsibility for that company.
Yeah.
When you carry the birth certificate's exactly the same thing. But
so when you open your business account, you're going to need the official ID with a picture on it.
That is the ID. You don't need it. No, you don't need any ID. If you do, you tell them that the only ID you've got is the birth notification form, because you're not using the birth certificate. This created the birth certificate.
Yeah. I'm trying to picture when you're at the bank and you're dealing with a staff member who has no idea about anything, and he's got his protocol. Somebody wants an account.
Troy, you have to speak to the manager. The manager are aware of this.
This is why I made this, Troy.
Oh yeah, okay. There you go.
That's the title deed itself. That's the whole of this document, but into a business card. But now this has got my picture on it and a stamp. That's the account number.
That's
now I'm exactly. This is the authorized agent, just the Christian name, Carmichael.
That's it. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's proof of ID. That's the picture ID I'm talking about. So when the manager says, "Oh yeah, you need to open an account, you need something with a picture on it," you give him that. So that's perfect. That's what I was looking for. That's perfect. Done. Yeah. Okay. So this it's beautiful. Once I do this, we up again. I'm going to get my people to get their IDs and go and set up these accounts and start doing business properly. You see?
I mean, I think
because everything else is in place. We have.
Go on.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, I think this is going to help you a hell of a lot more. I mean, like, what you're doing is perfect. Don't get me wrong. What you're doing, I commend you on what you're doing, because I was doing that a long time ago.
Yeah.
But because it was just still messing about, now I've done this, it's like they ain't got a leg to stand on. Because there's a guy, I heard about it. There was a guy, there's Talk Shoe Radio. And I think there was a guy called Rob Ryder on there.
Right.
Rob
Now,
Ryder.
he said,
Rob Ryder is good. Rob Ryder is good.
This guy went into court and he said, "Is Carmichael Bryan here, the judge?" And I said, "I'm here to represent that." And the judge said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm the owner." The clerk flipped around and said, "No, he's the administrator, because they don't want you to know that you can own yourself." Why is that? The reason being, if you can own yourself, we got another discussion to talk about, and that's slavery.
Yeah.
Because somebody must have been owning it before.
Yeah.
That's another discussion now.
Yeah.
So now I own that document. They don't want you to know you can own yourself. That's slavery, man. Because if you can own yourself, who was owning you before?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's the birth certificate.
I mean,
now
it's so sweet.
Discussion.
It's so sweet. The corruption is coming to an end. I can't wait.
This is it.
Troy,
so sweet.
this is you know Steve McRae?
Yeah.
You know, a few of us here have got trusts via Steve. Now, these are ecclesiastical trusts and established by deed poll, notified the Vatican, notified the Chancellor, we should be left alone, but we're not because the system's so corrupt.
Yes.
Yeah.
I broached the idea that Carl's got going on here about opening a company name and putting it inside the trust. Now, Steve's reaction, he doesn't know the guts of this, but his reaction off the cuff was, you don't want to do that because that's contracting via the Companies Act and it gives them a backdoor method to attack you. I don't want to put you on the spot, but from your knowledge, have you got any feelings around what Steve is saying on this? Whether it is by virtue of registration, contracting back into the system?
Yeah. I mean, with Steve, because I know he does his stuff. It's all statutory.
Yeah.
So he's going to say it's all statutory. So it's about contract. He's right to an extent because everything you register gives it back to REG, which is Rome.
Yeah.
So the registration, it's the transfer of rights. You see.
Yeah.
However, because you have to come out somehow, the registration in private, in the public. Let me think.
Can I just add in there a second?
You're still gonna
Go on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go on.
Finish what you're saying. Sorry.
my sentiment is this: that you still, because of the way it's set up, you're still going to need to do business with the devil, so to speak, with Caesar in one way or another.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why we trademark is just for that reason. They're going to still write to us, and they're still going to bother us. But we have a weapon in their jurisdiction, which is commercial, which is to do with business. That's why we charge them for use of our trademarks.
Right.
You see. But because we're going to have to deal with them in one way or another, we're contracting with them, but to a limited extent. So when you do this private, I'm thinking, because I haven't done it, I'm just going to go off cuff. When you do this private, buying the private limited company, you're still in that jurisdiction. However, you're setting up your own rules depending upon the drafting of your trust, your private trust deed. You see? Does that make sense? So whereas you're going to be able to contract with them, you're still going to be able to contract with them on your terms, not on their terms. That's the only thing I can see.
Right. Let me add to that, please.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it, when you go on Companies House and you fill out the form for the company, the top box, for example, to say what's the company name, and you put in your name. Yeah. So my name's Carmichael Bryan.
Yeah.
Now the drop-down menu for the country is actually United Kingdom, because the company, any company, will be floated in United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to the box underneath and it says who's the owner, and you write the same name down, Carmichael, Bryan, whatever, what's the country of the drop-down menu?
It's England. Yeah, on the land.
There you go.
So now
you're saying a man stands on England who owns a corporation on the sea.
Yeah.
If it wants to do business.
In the UK.
In the UK. So there's your different jurisdiction. You just stepped out of the UK and stepped onto England, which is back on the land.
Yeah.
So a man has to own a company. A company can't own a company. A man has to own the company in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's where we go back into the private, because they're not in our jurisdiction. And it all comes back to jurisdiction. Just to add to that, that's all. So when you go and fill out the form for Companies House, you're telling them that this is a man in England who is having a boat in United Kingdom. If that boat wants to go out and do business and do commerce, fine, it can do, if you choose to let it do, and you do the contracts on that.
Yeah. I mean, I love it.
So
I was listening to that video the other day, and it would be good to give that video you did with Dee to Troy, because it was a damn good discussion, that one.
Okay.
I love the allegory of, like, you've at the moment got an abandoned ship with just shipmates who are acting as trustees, and the pirates come along and board you, and you have to fulfill the pirates.
This is it.
Exactly. That's what's going on.
And that's exactly the same thing what Troy was saying earlier on about the letters. When they send out a letter with, like, Carmichael Bryan in capitals, for example, they're fishing. And it's the same thing. When you haven't claimed back the full title, your boat's out there in the sea, just floating around, and pirates can jump on it and rob it and do whatever. But as soon as you pay the £13, the dockman pulls it in, ties it to land, and he's the security guard, so no one can go on that boat. That's why you're paying your confirmation statement every year. So it's protection.
The other
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
Isn't that more like a docking fee, that £13?
There you go.
Yeah.
But the thing
So
about
with
it,
it being a docking fee, sorry. So with it being a docking fee of £13, that doesn't necessarily exclude anyone else from being able to attack that ship, surely. And
yeah,
also,
no,
when it comes to when it comes to private and public jurisdiction, that's not necessarily what a private limited company is. A private limited company basically means that you do not trade the shares of the company on the stock market. A public limited company gets traded on the stock market. A private limited company doesn't get traded on the stock market. That's what makes it private.
no, but the thing about it, you have the natural resources. So the thing about it, when it's a private limited company, as I said, nobody's done it with their name. People might have done it with pulling potatoes, for example, or Nike, for example. But the thing about it, as I said, when I went down to the bank and the bank guy said to me, I said to him, look, I want to open up the account. I want to put this in my retail account and turn my retail account into a private account. And he said, you can't really do that, but you have to open up a business account. So when you open up the business account, I said to him, but the company's dormant. He said to me, it doesn't matter if the company's dormant. It's never dormant at Companies House. So Companies House is part of the treasury. So if the natural resources are coming into treasury and Companies House, and it's being distributed evenly between 8 billion people, for example, then basically them resources are still coming in and going on the stock market first of all. That's why when it comes, you get all the share documents. These are share documents for my company. So I can start writing shares if I want, and I can go and put them on the stock market. Still a private company. You see, so I understand where you're coming from, but you can still trade, because the thing about it, okay, say you go in now and you say, okay, cool, all of these shares are on all these different markets. You don't have to actually disturb that. You can carry on letting that go, because that's where you're getting dividends. You can live off the dividends and the interest. So the shares and everything,
you set this up 5 years ago, right? So you should, by rights, have accumulated the last 5 years' worth of dividends into that Carl Michael Bryant account that you should have control of. Why did they not write to you and say, here's your statement of account?
Because I haven't opened up a company yet. I haven't opened up a bank account yet with this.
Right. But still, you would think.
But they did send, as I said earlier on. I got this in 2018. And Carol like, what do you mean you got it in 2018? You're not open it yet. But yeah, no, they sent me that. They sent me a black card to actually do business with, and to do business now. Even though it's just a promotional letter, they're saying, right, here's a black card. We can offer you a black card. And that is just from that.
That's not necessarily a black card.
January 2018.
It's not necessarily a black card that enables you to access the private, though. Because I've got a black credit card. But it's
but again, it's like, I haven't opened a letter since 2018, and I just opened it because Caroline said, go on, open it, go. I was like, all right, cool, so I opened it. But if you notice, the name and the... You see, they write Carmichael Bryan, and then Carmichael Bryan Limited underneath, but it's all uppercase, lowercase, because there's no contracts with this at the moment. If I was to go to them and say, right, I want a black card, or whatever card you're offering me, then the next time the company name will come in all capital letters, because there's a contract. At the moment, there's no contract, so they're writing to you as a promotional letter. This is just a promotional letter to offer me something, to offer me. You see, as soon as I take that offer and I agree to that offer and I get a card and I get a contract with them, then the name will come in capital letters. My name will still be uppercase, lowercase, because I'm just the director of the company, the man. And that's what I was talking about. When you fill out the form on Companies House to open up the company, the top box is the full capital letter, which is the company name. And then underneath that, you got, which is the man living on England, the man's got to be written in uppercase, lowercase, because that's the English descriptive text name. That's the proper name.
Yeah.
You see, so they will always write to you in uppercase, lowercase to start with, because they're trying to gain a contract with you. Once you take that contract and you agree, then you now become, your company now becomes in uppercase because there's a contract with that company. The only people who can write to you at the moment in uppercase and lowercase is Companies House, because you've got a contract with them just to say that I bought the company from you and that's it, and it's a dormant company. They ain't going to trouble you for no more. Now they won't even write to you because, as I said to Caroline, if you want to do your confirmation statement, instead of them writing to you and sending you a letter, you can say, I could just send me an email. So they'll send you an email and you'll stop getting letters now. And then when your confirmation statement or your filing accounts are ready, I do mine two times a year, once in June, which I just did, and it was the file accounts. And because it's a dormant company, you're just paying yourself one share and that's it. And then that's done. And then in September, I paid a confirmation statement, which is £13. Now, funnily enough, if you go and order a birth certificate from the birth registrar, it's going to cost you £13 as well.
Yeah. Interesting, that. And signed by
you bought your company for £13.
Yeah. Birth certificate.
Bought your company for £13. A birth certificate for £13. The birth certificate puts you in the public. This puts you in the private. I'd rather spend my £13 on that. But I spent £85 because I got Duport to do it all for me, because I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I have to be honest with that. But now when these guys are doing it, they're telling me £12. I'm smacking myself because I said I could have saved £70. But yeah, no, I mean, like, it's interesting. It's interesting. I understand where you're coming from, Troy, because again, I've been on this path like for 25, 30 years, man. So I know where you're coming from. I know what you're doing and all them things there. And it was nice that them guys wanted us to link up and speak. Do you know what I mean? Because I totally agree with what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing, because I've done exactly the same thing. But I just didn't chase too many avenues.
Yeah,
for
us, what we do is we're suing them. You see, that's our remedy. What we're doing now is making claims. So whereas we might not have a registered company, this, that, and the other, what we're saying is this: for instance, if you have a mortgage, you need to claim the house. You see, if you understand how the money was created to buy it, that's how you dropped your claim. You are the creditor, and the bank never put any money in it. That's your claim, and we take them to court and let a judge look at the paperwork and decide. You see, that's how we approach it.
Because the thing, as I said earlier on, the thing about it is, like, if they took your money out of your registered name and date account, because you go in and give them the birth name, which is the full name, and you give them the date of birth.
Yeah.
Now you sign that, they go over to the Treasury and say, look, we've got this signature off this.
Oh no.
One individual, but we want to take the money out of that account.
Yeah,
now,
we missed everything
you said there,
Carl. I missed everything you said there, Carl. Can you just take it back a bit, please?
Okay. Sure. Again, all I was saying was, when you go into the bank and you get a mortgage, basically what they're saying is, right, give me your name and date of birth. So you're giving them Carmichael Bryan, June, date of birth. Now, they go to the Treasury and take out of Carmichael the registration date, August. That's the account what we got at the Treasury. That's the creditor's name and the creditor's registration date of birth, basically. Now, what happens when you buy this back? You close the account because you made everything dormant. Now, if they come to you to get money off you, who are they going to give that money back to? Because they've got to give it back to your registered name account. But you've just closed that account, so they're stuck. They don't know who, they can't give it to anybody. So they can't take money off you. Because if you go into court and you say, well, okay, who did you give the money? Who did you lend the money to? Oh, we lent it to Carmichael Bryan. Okay, but well, bring Carmichael Bryan into the court because Carmichael Bryan's already here. So they can't bring Carmichael Bryan into the court. Now, again, going back to what I said earlier on, if somebody was doing a contract under that name, who was they? Because it wasn't you. Because if contracts can only happen between two companies, and you hadn't owned the company before. I mean, I bought myself in September 2015. So the thing about it, whatever contracts were made with whoever before that doesn't belong to me. I didn't own the company then. But you saying that your company has a contract with my company, but my company only started in September 2015. So where's the contract? Where's the two-party side agreement? You don't have it. And if there was a contract, who was the contract between before?
Wow.
You need to bring them into the court.
Wow. Penny drops.
There you go.
One other question though, when registering your company, Carl, why would you, or would you not put Carmichael and Bryan?
No, because basically they don't, okay, on your birth certificate, they put name and surname.
Yeah.
But they don't put Carmichael and Bryan, they put Carmichael Bryan.
Yeah, no,
but they write it up here, name and surname. So they're getting away with the and there.
Yeah, I get that bit. No, I was meaning on the owner of the company. Why?
Oh, the owner. I write it as the David Wimiller technique. I write it Carl-Michael Bryan, which separates the two names.
Okay, that has the same effect.
You see, and
that is in the box, isn't it? The and bit is in the box. So
there you go.
Real. You know, on the birth certificate, it's in the box, isn't it?
That's right. It says name and.
Yeah.
Now, if we look at and is to add.
Yeah.
And if we look at the name surname in the etymology dictionary, it's just an epithet. It's a name that's added to another name.
Yeah.
So that's where they get us, because on the birth notification form, they've got forename here, and then they got surname underneath. Right. Now it's illegal for them to take them two names from separate individual spaces and put them together as one. That's illegal.
That's why they get the deputy registrar to set the birth certificate up, because then the registrar can't be had for it.
And that's why they get the midwife's manual, the birth notification form, and this is the midwife's manual.
Yeah.
Do you see? And then the midwife gets commission for registering a birth.
Whoa.
That's why they want you to register the birth, because they get a commission. The midwife gets a commission.
It's a healthy one as well. I think it's £1,000 last time I looked.
Of course it is.
Wow.
It's all commerce. It's all for profit.
This is it. But it's all done via corporations. Yeah. Because if we was made into a corporation at birth, that's my question to them. If this was made into a corporation by birth, and British Gas or BT or Electric or whoever has a contract with that company, who was the owner of that company before I owned it?
Yeah.
Bring them into the court, because they're the ones who, now the birth registrar signs it for the birth certificate.
Deputy.
But they can turn around and say, well, hold up, because if you give the birth certificate to the judge, he doesn't see what's in the box. Yeah. So your name is not there. Judges don't see what's in boxes. He only looks at the whole document. And that's why having this, you can only see one thing on that document. There's no boxes. That makes you the adult. That makes you hold full liability and responsibility for you or your corporation. The corporation's name's Carmichael Bryan, and it can be seen as the company's new birth certificate. So if my name's on that company document, that's my new birth certificate. I was only born in 2015.
You're looking old.
So they haven't, Carl, they haven't sent you any bills, understand?
Sorry?
I was asking, they haven't sent you any bills since you registered?
Well, I'm similar in the same position as you. As I said to everybody else, like I live at home with my father. So I done this, but since then I don't have letters coming to me. And if they do, they come in the uppercase, lowercase name, because they want a contract with me.
Yep.
And once I contract with them, then my name will come in uppercase, lowercase.
Yeah.
Uppercase, lowercase, all capitals. That means once you've contracted, it'll come in all capitals, no?
Corporation.
Yeah, once you contract, you come in all capitals.
Yeah. You said uppercase, lowercase.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, you're the name of the man who's the director or the CEO or the administrator or the beneficiary or whoever will come in uppercase, lowercase. Because they're writing the contract to the company, which is the uppercase name. Carmichael Bryan Limited, that's the company.
Right.
And then underneath, you've got Carmichael Bryan, which is the man, uppercase,
Right.
lowercase. So they have to
Director.
differentiate them two.
Yeah.
Because the company, on Company's House, you signed up for the company to be eligible to do business and commerce in United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Now, they've asked you who's the owner, which is the uppercase and lowercase. So if Company House is doing that and they're suing it to you, any other company doing it differently can go away because Company's House is the head company. Everything has to go through Company's House in a certain sense to do with corporations and business.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if Company's House is writing to you like that, why can't anybody else write to you like that?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to add another bullet to our arsenal. So we're definitely going to use it. And yeah, definitely going to use it. And like I said, it's going to be an icing on the cake for us because it's another angle of attack and defense.
Yes, totally. And all I did it for, like you just said there, T, all I did it for was to stop them from attacking me.
Can I just ask something, Cole?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Can I just ask something, Cole? Sorry. I'm trying to unravel as the talking's happening and things keep coming to me. And just give me a little bit of time just to try to explain what I'm trying to say here. Okay. You've said that from this point forward, because the corporation was only set up recently, if the corporation was set up yesterday, there are no pre-existing contracts between the corporation and British Gas, Lloyds Bank for the mortgages, and whoever. And yes, I can get that. Okay. Something must have been happening before in order for Lloyds Bank to be getting the money, in order for British Gas to be getting the money. They were going somewhere to get it. So if the corporation didn't exist before yesterday, where were they going to get the money?
This is what I'm talking about. Now, the thing about it, as I said, when you take that gas bill into the post office, you sign it, and then you take £50 out and you give them £50. So you're paying them twice because that £50 goes into their account. And then the signed document goes to the Treasury and the Treasury pays them because they take it out of your registered date of birth, which is the creditor.
Yeah.
They take out a Carmichael registration date. You're paying Carmichael Bryan date of birth. So you're paying £50 and signing a document.
So therefore, there is an existing obligation for someone or something to continue to pay British Gas until you give them notice to the contrary. Because there's an existing obligation. If there's something happening beforehand, yeah, unless you do something to revoke it, to rescind it, to stop it, to prevent it from happening, there's an obligation which they have, which then lawfully they will have a claim against, for example, Carmichael Bryan. Now, whether it's Carl Bryan, Carmichael, CM Bryan, they've got an existing claim, and that needs to be discharged somehow.
Certainly, totally. But ask them where's the contract, because there has to be a contract.
You never signed the contract with them. Did you have any contract, Michael?
It's a unilateral agreement, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a unilateral. So they don't, again, as I said, who owns the gas? No one owns the gas.
The people.
They own the meter. So you're only paying for the meter. So you can tell them, look, come and get your meter. Yeah. Take the meter and put the pipes back the way they were.
Yeah, we've done that for other people. Change the meters so they don't have to pay from commercial to domestic. That's the only way to deal with it. Once you do that and get your safety certificate, you don't have to pay for gas and electricity. That's I've done that for someone. It's been a year now, and he's had no problems with it. With what I think Mickey is asking is the pre-existing account.
Yes,
who
but if
owned it before that?
Yeah, but that's the same thing I said just a minute ago. If you go into a court of law and you took this document and the judge sees that you are the company owner, and it started this date, whatever contracts were made between that date, nothing to do with you.
Don't
You tell them
exist.
go and find the person. You go and tell them find them, bring them into court.
I see your argument. It's pretty strong. They
Bring them
can't
into
escape. They
court.
can't escape.
This is it. Bring them into court because you're saying there was a contract before with that name. And the thing about it, if it's just C.M. Bryan, that's not me. That could be Christopher Marion. That could be Craig Mark.
Yep.
I want the whole name.
I mean, usually I think they'll have to discharge it and take a hit because it's similar to when you move. You see, when someone moves and a new occupier comes in, then they have to discharge that account. If it wasn't paid, then they have to start the new account from zero. I think that's the only option they have.
That's it.
As a new company, they have to start from zero.
Now they can write to you as the occupier, but you don't apply to that.
Yeah.
If they write to you in uppercase, lowercase, they're just offering you now a new contract. So it's up to you to open a letter, read it. Oh, it's a promotional deal. Oh, they want to come and fit a meter in. No, I don't want to need a meter. You know what I mean? Just put the pipes back together and leave it how it was when it was first built. There wasn't no meter in there in the first place. So just put the pipes together. You came in, you chopped the pipes, you put your meter in. Now come back, take the meter out, put the pipes together, and I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it.
That's a letter we draft. We give them 28 days to come and collect their meters. We remove them, tell them if you don't collect, we're going to dispose of them, and then we just do just that.
Or what you say, if you want to leave your meter here, I'm going to charge you $5,000 a month.
Exactly. And then they have no option.
It's easy to buy the meter. That's what we've been doing.
That's it. Just buy the meter, put your own meter on, and then at the end of the year, you just write the number down and you send that to the Treasury and say, that's how much gas I used. That came out of your own natural resource.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny with water as well, because that's you don't pay water. I can't believe people actually pay for this. It rains every day in England. People are still paying for this.
This is it.
So we say, okay, fine. In our condition of acceptance, because we've done it so many years, we take the piss. We say we're going to pay you the water bill if you prove we drank your water. So it's Yorkshire water. We say we're not arguing with you, but we conditionally agree to pay the water bill if you prove that we drank Yorkshire water.
There you go.
And that's a legitimate question.
But actually, we have even better view, don't you, Leslie? You ask them about what's in the water, what it's made up, and you say that you're allergic to all those things, isn't that?
Exactly. Chlorine, particularly. Fluoride.
Yeah.
How much do they put in it? And you want a little bit less, then you're going to pay for it. If they remove some of the fluoride, then you're going to pay for it. They're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So my answer to that is, when you go and buy yourself a company, the company is allowed to have, under exemption, they're allowed to have a business property, they're allowed to have a living property, they're allowed to have a company, and it's all exempt.
Yep.
That's the thing. So what's happening is that how you're now saying, okay, this is my house, it's exempt because it's my business house.
Yep.
They can't touch you because it's private. Everything, because if you go on, even if you go onto government.gov and you look at the legislation, you look at starting a business and you read through the criteria of what you're exempt from and blah, 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 etc., it will tell you what you're exempt from. I mean, like, there's a girl on YouTube at the moment, some young girl, and she just talks about setting up a company and what you can get away with not paying for, what you don't have to pay for. You don't have to pay for your house. You don't have to pay for your bills. You don't have to pay for your car. Everything.
Yep.
Because basically
they're prepaid accounts.
Okay, this is one thing I like to say, and this is what I like to say a lot of people. You go to work, yeah? Okay, so Leslie, do you go to work?
No.
Okay, Fatima?
Nobody.
Unfortunately, I do.
Right.
No.
I do.
Okay, so let's look at this. Mike goes to work. Say he's an accountant, for example. Mike goes to work for a company. The thing about it, Michael's using his intellectual to create a form in that company. And it's going to be a new form. Nobody's ever used it before, and it was his creation. They're taking his intellectual property from his mind, what he created, and they're keeping it for the company.
That's right.
They don't want you to come out of the company and create a form like that for your own business and go and make millions of it. because they want to have the ownership to your intellectual property right. That's why they pay you a wage. The wage is probably coming out of your trust as well.
Yeah.
Your wages is probably coming out of your trust because you gave them your birth certificate or passport to sign the job in the first place.
National insurance number, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the national insurance number just puts a cap on you earning £12,000. Anytime after that, you're paying tax.
Yeah.
So when you go and buy the full company now, you're that tax, and you get that unique tax reference number. Whatever company you buy, you get a unique tax reference number. You're allowed to earn 125,000. So now, if Mike goes to the job and he says, right, here's my unique tax reference number for MTW IT services, for example. He's just now making a contract with that company. When we go in, if I go and work to McDonald's, I'm still doing a contract with McDonald's because it's me doing the contract with McDonald's. But because they own the birth certificate, and I give them a national insurance number, they put me on a cap of £12,000. So anything I earn over that, I have to pay tax on. Now, I could go in and say, right, my name's Carmichael, and this is my tax reference number. But I give them the company number, which the company is Carmichael. The tax reference number for Carmichael from the HMRC, I can give them that. Now I can earn 125,000. So if they tax me at the end of the year, when I do my rebate, I get all that tax back because I haven't earned the threshold.
Yep.
Even if you've given your national insurance number, because they won't employ you without it.
You take the national insurance number away and back because your unique tax reference number is now your national insurance number.
Right.
Do you see?
Okay.
The tax reference number replaces the national insurance number.
Right.
That's all.
The only thing I can foresee with that, though, Carl, if you actually do that method and use a unique tax reference in substitute of the national insurance number, what will happen is that they'll most probably say, oh, I can see that this hasn't actually attracted any income at all because it's never been used. And they'll think to themselves, hang on a minute, so you haven't earned a penny.
No, but that's the thing about it. It's not you who's earning the money. It's your company what's earning the money. So when they start paying you your wages, you see, because you remember, if you work for an IT company or account company or whatever, they're doing a contract with another contractor. Whether you're a man or a woman or another company, you're still a contractor. They're contracting you in to do the job. They're giving you a contract. So you can agree to that contract on your terms. You say, right, okay, cool. Because I'm a contractor and you're contracting me to do my work, I'm going to bring in my work. The only reason they want you to work for them is so they can steal your ideas.
You know, that's true, because I remember back in the 80s where I worked local authorities, there were a lot of people that used to work as companies to avoid taxation on a personal level. But then they brought in legislation to prevent people contracting as companies into jobs, and they would not employ them. They insisted on having them in personal servitude.
This is it.
That's right. That's IR 35. You're right there, Leslie.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. If they don't want to do the job with you and for you, then, and they want to let you go, then cool. See you later.
Yeah. Do you not think that we're contracting in this way into the Companies Act? It is a contract buying the name. It's still contracting in with complying with the Companies Act. You're in contract with Treasury through that mechanism. Do you think that there's any slippage of that such that you're contracting to all legislation by that one act?
Yeah.
You are?
I mean, like, it's your birth certificate or your passport or your driving license. So it all comes under their system.
Yeah. But when you buy the company...
Oh, right. When you buy the company, yeah.
Buy the company, you're contracting with the Treasury because you're subject to Companies Act and everything else.
Okay.
Does it slip into every other realm of statute and act, do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean...
I'd like to answer that. I've recently read the Vice Trustee Handbook Manual, okay? And in there's a sentence or two where he's basically implying that, Leslie, that even if you have a private express trust that's been set up, if you contract with anybody who's an organisation or a company, a corporation, so to speak, you are in fact inviting a relationship with all legislation, with all government bodies, and that's the only thing that concerns me.
Yeah.
That's company law.
Yeah.
Mikey, what was that handbook called again?
Wise. I've got it, Leslie. I'll send it to you. The Wise.
Thank you. Nice one. Yeah.
Download it off of the net. That's what I did.
Lovely. Nice one.
So what Michael's saying there, Leslie, and what relates to what I'm doing is that's why I made the company dormant.
Right.
Because nobody can go after that name then. If you want to go and open up a trademark or another company like MTW IT Services or whatever, you can open up that company and you can do all your trading through there, and then legislation and statutes would apply to that company.
But it would also apply to you as owner.
As owner, yes, but you're just a director. They can't come after you as a man or a woman.
That's right, because there's limited liability.
Right.
And that's limited liability of 1 share or guaranteed of £1.
What I don't get then is that guy in the trusts who was a scaffolding company, and he's quite successful. He was having a truck about paying the tax because he had a private ecclesiastical trust, and they froze every single account he had, not just the company account, but his personal accounts as well. So
Yeah,
how
but as
do
a
you reach into that unless it is
because he created the company, and the company he's created is a scaffolding company.
Right.
It doesn't have a birth certificate.
Right, yeah.
So he has the birth certificate, so they're shutting him down.
Yeah, got it.
If he took back his private if he took back the name,
Yeah,
then that oversees,
yeah.
that overstands the birth certificate.
Right.
Because they're taking everything out of the box now and they're putting it on one page. When you hold the birth certificate, everything in that box, you're not on the page.
Yeah.
So how does that make us stand with Steve then, Leslie? Because I'm still a bit confused.
Well, he categorically said you don't let anybody do this, because if you bring it into the trust, it will help them to attack the trust by the back door using all statute and legislation. Now, is he right? I don't even know if he's thought it through.
Well, the thing about it, the trust you're doing is under that.
No, it's not.
It will be.
No, because it's an ecclesiastical trust. It's basically put notice on the Pope as trustee. Using Unum Sanctum, he became the trustee of the world. And what we've said is we've come to life. We're an ecclesiastical trust. We have 5 roles: minister, trustee, beneficiary, grantor, executor.
Okay.
And we have told him and the government that we want out of their system. We're not touching it.
But who's doing it? The birth certificate's doing it.
No.
No, but what I'm saying, no, but I don't mean that you're sending that or giving them any information about that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to you, if they went onto company's house and typed in your name and your name wasn't there, they know that you're not in the private.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But
The thing about
about trust. Sorry, where do you think it stands? Because you're the trust man. Not this you said to you, Carl. I don't.
No, not at all. Can I just say this one thing though?
Yeah.
If you went to a solicitor's, right, and the solicitor asks you for some identification, as soon as you put your identification on the table, he would know how to talk to you.
Yeah.
If you put your birth certificate, your driving license, or your passport, he will speak to you in that way because he knows that you're owned by the system.
Yeah.
If you put the title deed now, there's a different conversation going on.
It's very compelling, Carl. It really is. Don't get me wrong.
Sorry, Troy. Sorry, Carol.
Sorry, Carol. What's the question again?
Well, we've set up ecclesiastical trusts, Troy.
Yep.
So we've basically
is it a trust in form or substance?
It's a trust in substance, and we've declared it to God.
So you have a distributing function. Do you distribute any benefits to the beneficiaries ever so often?
No, we've created a manor roll book, and we've entered all our real property into that manor roll book.
Okay. So your trust is a trust in form. It's not a trust in substance yet. Yeah, go on.
Okay. So we've declared to God that we are responsible for our portion of the earth.
Yep.
And that we have notified the system, both the Pope and the Lord Chancellor, because we have a seal of the estate. We are on equal standing with the Lord Chancellor, and the Pope is our trustee. And we have said, we're out of your system. We're not touching it with a barge pole. We are truly in the private on oath to God.
Okay.
Certainly, that's the ecclesiastical way, which is cool.
That's what we've
But
done.
they won't recognize that.
They don't.
How about the commercial side? Because the way we approach it is the language and everything else.
Mm.
So once you read the language, then you're going to understand jurisdictions. And if it's commerce, then how does it tie in with the ecclesiastical part of it?
Mm.
Because what they're doing is commerce. Everything they do is commerce. Nothing to do with
Yes.
ecclesiastical business.
Yes. But what we say, we don't touch that system. We operate wholly in the private, we say. So we only count gold and silver. We don't count fiat.
Sure, but who's counting that? That's the thing. Because as I said, as what Troy's saying, is that they're still going to deal with you in a commerce way.
Yeah.
In the okay, the way it is, we look at it from the commercial side. This is the situation you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, you are a surety. The government sold you to the bankers, so
Yeah.
you're held as surety to satisfy the national debt.
Yep.
This national debt is not going to go away. You
No.
see, it's going to be it's a perpetual national debt.
Yeah.
Okay, so our approach is to learn how to discharge discharges, because they won't let that account go because it's in there already.
Yeah.
They'll want someone to discharge it. So when you become responsible and you set up this trust and everything else, they'll still send you these letters. However, you won't be paying money. You'll be discharging them using your exemptions.
Yeah.
That's our approach. Does that make any sense?
And that's essentially what we do, using the seal of the estate. We're also registrars in our own right, and we're administrators.
But they are
But
ignoring.
to discharge discharges, you still need those account numbers which they created. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. You see.
Yeah.
What
So those account numbers. Sorry.
Sorry, go on, Troy. Sorry.
I say the accounts will still need to be discharged anyway because the national debt is an accounting system.
Yes.
The accounting system is automatic. It's going to carry on anyway. You
Yeah.
see. So they're still going to come after you, one way or another. They won't stop going after their accounts. You see.
But the way
And they
we
won't
do it, we stamp off, like accepted for value kind of thing.
Mhm.
We use our estate stamp on the gyro credit, and we always ask for a joint bank gyro credit to be able to do that. So we are attempting to charge in their system using that form of paperwork, but they're still, as you
Right.
say, coming after us.
I think if it's to do with trusts, then all I can say is this: they probably recognize that your trust is a trust in form and not a trust in substance. If they ever sue you in court, they're going to win because you won't be able to prove that your trust is a trust in substance.
Can I just add something to that as well? When you make the trust, you get an account number, yeah?
You mean a bank account?
Like your bank account.
Yeah.
Right.
You will set up. You will set up a bank account for the trust. Yes.
Right. So the thing about it, the question is, because when we go into the bank and we open up a bank account with our birth certificate, yeah,
Yeah.
we don't make that number; they make that number.
Yeah.
Right. When you go into the bank with this, the number there, your company number, is actually your account number. So that number on your document will be on your card.
Right.
The company's house made that number for you. If the bank make any number for you, that's their account they created for you.
Yeah.
The company's house created the account for you, not the bank.
Yeah. That's a
So
big
if you don't go in with a specific number and they don't write that number down, then every number they give you is allocated to your birth certificate, should I say.
In public.
There you go. Because they're giving you
I'd
the
say-
number. They're making the number up for you.
Yeah. I'd say the ecclesiastical trust. I think the people that are bothering you, they're bothering you because their lawyers know that they'll be able to win in court if they ever sue you.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
because your trust is not real, in the sense that you won't be able to prove it in court. You see, the way you're going to prove it in court is if a beneficiary, for instance, gives evidence of being a true beneficiary, and they should be holding a certificate of beneficial interest with the trust seals and everything else to show what percentage of equity or benefit they receive ever so often.
This is
And
it.
that's how you kill their case, by showing that you have a private trust. The hearing has to be in private.
Yeah.
You see, because it's private. So the statute don't apply. It has to be heard by an equity judge
Yeah.
who in Chancery, because Chancery is the proper proper venue, as they say, for dealing with such matters.
Yeah.
And then you can show them the trust at a fee, because your trust deed, the ones we construct, say that before you show it in show it to anyone else, they have to give you a fee to start with.
Yeah.
They can read it and see it in court in the private setting. They call the judge's chambers. He can view the private trust deed in the chambers, and then give it back to you, but you cannot keep it or in their records or reproduce it. And that's how you prove a trust exists.
Yeah.
You're going to show them the signature page, and a beneficiary is going to show up with a certificate of beneficial interest, so that they don't have an interest title or right over that trust. And that's our approach, you see. So it's not ecclesiastical. We are doing business. So we're not pretending to be nothing to do with their God or whatever, because we know all this false. We're just doing business on their terms as well.
Right.
So we're going to say, fine, we're not going to argue with you. We're going to accept your offers, and we're going to make you counter offers. And that's the approach we find to be best.
Right.
So this particular document, which puts you entirely in private and shows them, because ideally they should accept this document because it's one of their documents. You see, because sometimes when you create your own documents from your own trust or whatever, in their venue, they cannot see that, you see. Because number one, if it's open and you haven't challenged anything and you just go into court, number one, you're not a member of the Bar Guild. So they cannot hear you. Only members of the Bar Guild can be heard in court. Second of all, because you're not one of them, your documents, number two, they're not written in legalese. You're writing what you learned in school, perhaps. Your English, it's not the same language. They cannot see it. So they cannot hear you. They cannot see it. You're going to lose the case all the time.
Completely in a different jurisdiction.
So, yeah. So you want everything done in private, in equity, because equity is contract law. And all law is contract. So everything has to be equity, never statutory. That's what you're trying to avoid. But this statutory move, which is to register in the private, if it's going to help to put everything you own in the private, then you can defend it very strongly in the private, because you'll never, ever have a public hearing. Because the public hearing is where you lose. If you have a hearing with a judge in chambers, just you, him, and the other solicitor, that's private, and you can negotiate there and get all the deals you want and come out and nobody has to know. And that's how you want to do business, in the private, not the public.
Do you go to Chancery Division? Sorry to cut you.
Yes, if you're going to deal with an equity judge, you go to the Chancery. But ideally, what we're looking for ourselves now is to find adjudication, because in their own Adjudication Act, they say that if you go to adjudication and the adjudicator gives a judgment, that's as good as a court judgment. The only difference is adjudication is private and their courts are public. And once you go private, then you have every right to deal with your matters in private, you see. So even when they try to sue you, you can let them know that by your own records, it's a private company, you have a private trust, and all these matters are dealt with in private. You don't launder your laundry, or you don't put your laundry in public. And then ask them for a private hearing in equity by an equity judge, and you'll be able to slaughter them because you produce real evidence in that.
But which form do you put?
I'm sorry?
Which form do you file to court? N208, judicial review?
If you're going to use their venue, then it's N208. It depends on if it's a Part 7 claim or a Part 8 claim. A Part 7 claim simply means it's going to go through trial. A Part 8 claims means there are no dispute of facts. You see, that's why we do a paperwork before, so we dispute the facts with everyone before we go to court. If they don't dispute, we put in a Part 8 claim, saying to the judge that the other party doesn't dispute. So we're just looking for judgment, you see. So it's N208. There's other court forms. There's so many court forms anyway, depending on what you want to do. But you want sometimes you do the application, general application forms is N244. And that's a general form for if you want anything for the court to do for you, that's the form to fill. It's N244.
I thought the N244 is just to set aside an order?
No, it's a general form. You can ask for anything. It's general. So any order you want, you can use an N244. But to bring the claims... You're gone. If you're going to bring a claim, you have to decide whether it's a Part 7 or a Part 8, and then you'll fill in the appropriate form. It's different forms for each part.
Well, we were told always do a Part 8 because a Part 8 is for private and it's a no defense.
Yeah. So if you're going to bring a claim against someone, make sure you've done your due diligence. So you've done your notice of conditional acceptance, number one. You've done your notice of non-response, number two. You've done a certification of their commercial dishonor, and then you've written a notice of private agreement based on the first three letters. Then you put these 4 documents in a bundle, and you put that in with your claim form under Part 8. Saying that the other party doesn't dispute it, and you've reached a private agreement, and you want the court just to give you judgment. That's all you're asking for.
So you don't normally go
usually
to court. You don't normally go into court. They just pay out without going to court.
No. Usually the other party they are going to argue the Part 8 is not the appropriate form. That's the only thing they do.
Yeah.
You see, because they always argue technicalities. They're lawyers, so you have to be prepared for that. You see, so that's the only thing they come back with. They're trying to put it into Part 7 to take it into trial and to drag it out. You see, but we knock them off at Part 8.
And the private hearing, what Troy's talking about, is basically just a negotiation deal to make the contract.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So you're going into a private meeting to negotiate what they're offering. Because say, for example, if it's gas and you say, okay, cool, let's go into a private meeting. Okay, you're going to pay this much for gas to us. No, I'm not. I'm going to take gas out of my resources. That's my negotiation. You can I'll pay for the meter, or if I wouldn't need that meter, just see what I'm saying. So you're going in as a private negotiation because there has to be a contract somewhere, but you don't have to agree to the contract.
Hypothetically, if it's the utility thing, for instance, and somebody sends you a bill, say they need £100 for whatever, you do a conditional acceptance. So that's your number one letter. So a conditional accept to pay you whatever money if you can prove this gas belonged to you, and that's it. So their case is finished right there, and then you do because they won't be able to prove that. You're going to do your second letter, and then you're going to do the third letter, certification. You're going to do a fourth agreement. They've agreed they don't own the gas, and I don't owe them any money. So if you ever have to go to court, this is what you produce. You explain to the judge that I still conditional accept to pay them some money if they can prove that they own the gas, and you negotiate, and you're going to realize that they don't own the gas, and you walk out of that. So you're not. So you're not so much causing a controversy. What you're doing is conditional agreeing to pay them contingent on them performing something. You see? That's our approach. You see, so you negotiate that way. I'm not arguing. I'm trying to settle this thing.
Yeah, and what I totally agree with what Troy's saying. But again, as it goes back to the title, to the company document, the title deed there, basically, as soon as you walk in with that, and you give that, as I said earlier on.
I took over this company with this date.
There's no contract.
Exactly. This date, the contract is pre-existing. I wasn't there. I took on the company, say 2015. These bills go back 2013.
This is it.
That's what removes your liability.
Who was the person who was signing on behalf of that contract then?
Because
if they say you can say, that was the birth certificate. But the birth certificate is a fraudulent document.
Yeah. So all this stuff comes in handy because you can prepare. What you need to know is when you're going to go to a hearing, it gives you time to draft your arguments. So the judge is going to see this stuff before you go into court.
That's it.
Because they have a reading before you go in. So by the time you go there, they know exactly what you're coming there for. You see.
If you photocopy the title, the company document, and you send that in with your letter, that's it. Game over.
Done. Game finished. That's what I'm saying. This is icing for us.
Because there's no contract. There's no contract.
And this is icing for us. This is finished completely.
That's it.
All loans, all mortgages, everything is
done.
Void.
But everything was done off your birth certificate or your passport or your driving license. Now, as I said, when you went into the bank and you gave your birth certificate, basically they gave you an account number. They made an account up for you. So if you look at your bank card, my bank card says CM Bryan. So who's CM? They made that a different account for somebody else, because when you go in as CM Bryan, you're giving that date of birth. They're going to Carl Michael and taking out the registration account. So the account, what you've got, what they made up that account number for, is a completely different somebody. That's why I said about who makes the account number, because when you go in with that number, your company number, that's the account number made for that company. And that's the account number. So they can't tap into that. So if you're putting that and you're saying, well, that's my name and that's my account number, what account are you using to transfer money back and forth to pay mortgage? Whose is that account?
Yeah. So I'd say the answer is it Kylie? Is it Kylie who was talking about the claim?
Caroline.
Me, Caroline.
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 No. The other girl. There's a woman who asked about it.
Fatima, Leslie.
Fatima.
Oh, Fatima, yes. So your part 7 or part 8 claim that's how you draft it. So it's going to be along those lines. If you've done this thing already, then your arguments get very, very easy. You see, so you can just draft a part 8 claim after your letters saying that if you're defending a case, saying that the claimant has no right, title, or interest in this property or in this account. You see. And then you produce your proof of right, title, or interest, and that is it. You see. So those are the
copy of your certificate of commercial dishonor, because I'm not seeing one of that. Would you mind, Troy?
Yeah, I'll go down my notes and pull one up for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have tons of those because they're different depending on which company you're dealing with at the time.
Yeah.
But the 4 headings for our conditional acceptance are: number 1, we do notice of conditional acceptance. We do something called statement of facts. We do memorandum of law, which you're using, and we use equitable law. So we just put down 10 principles of equity. And then we do a notice of a false and counteroffer. And that's how we go.
Is that non-performance?
No, that's the first document, the headings on it. So those 4 headings will kill any question, because that's how you draft a commercial response, you see, under those 4, because it deals with issues of fact and issues of law. So that's the only thing in court, issues of fact and issues of law, you see. Once you've dealt with those, you give them an opportunity to respond. And then they don't, you do the second letter, notice of non-response. If they don't respond, you do the certification. And once you certificate something, then it gives authenticity. And that's the final one, certification of commercial dishonor.
Isn't that the same thing as doing an affidavit then? The certificate of commercial dishonor.
Affidavit usually used in a statutory jurisdiction. In commerce, we use notices and things like that. Or you can do you can call it an affidavit or a separation. But in commerce, is notices. Once you give, like when you go and see parking somewhere to park, you see a big notice. As long as you give notice, that is your reason for claiming special damages if you're going to sue someone for damages, because somebody has to know the terms before they breach it.
Yeah.
That's how you get special damages. You see. So this is what you're doing with your counteroffers. So in any court case, if it's a claim, they're claiming anything against you, they want to take you to court. It's always good to make a counteroffer, and not a cross offer or a cross claim instead of defending the claim, because the defendant will always lose. But the defendant is a debtor. When you go to court, you want to establish yourself as a creditor.
That's it.
So once you have these documents that can prove you're the creditor, for instance, the icing on the cake, this one here, the registration of a private company and all this stuff, you're the creditor.
That's it.
And you write a claim to that effect. So your paperwork says that I claim that I'm the creditor, and then you give the evidence for it, okay? And then they're the debtor and overturn that, and then make your cross claim. So if they were suing you for £100, you make a cross claim for £200. So when you go into equity court, you ask for a set-off and tell the judge, I'm going to accept £100, and they can keep the other 100 just to negotiate. But you always ask for 2 or 3 times as much as they're suing you for. So you have somewhere to negotiate from. But I recommend people do part 8 claims. So to resolve your issues out of court, don't go into court to argue because you're going to lose. Yeah. So by the time you go to court, you need to have won the case already on paper.
That's it.
So you're going to collect judgment. That's what you're doing in court.
The thing, interesting, what Troy said as well, it was about facts. Facts can't be tried in a court of law.
Yeah,
exactly. No truth or facts can be
heard. If you send them that, that's a fact.
They can't try it.
Game over.
Yeah.
Game over. You don't even have to do anything else. You just send them.
Issues of fact and issues of law. Those are the only 2 things that courts deal with.
This is it. Just issues.
So the issue of fact has been dealt with. Issue of fact has been dealt with. Now we're dealing with issues of law. So what should the judge do? Because he's the one. So if the issue of facts has been dealt with, it's been established who's the owner of this company, who's the true creditor, what is the issue of law, what's the next step? is to grant judgment in your favor. It's got no choice. You see, it's got no choice, and it's got no discretion to refuse you that. And to put it to him in those words, that the issues of fact and the issues of law have been established pre-hearing, before the hearing. You see, between you and the other party in private as well. So it's a notice of private agreement. So our parties, me and the claimant, we've reached private agreement. We come into the court to get a stamp. That's all. We're coming for the judgment. Yeah. You see, that's where we are with our approach. So I'll give it the guy, finish the case outside of court. When you go to court, instruct the judge as your fiduciary to issue judgment in your favor. You see, and that is it. Because that's the approach.
Because the thing about it as well, what I look at as well is that if they're writing your name in capital letters, my response to that is, well, okay, what does that mean? Because it's just an acronym in English. Yeah. So what does it stand for?
It's a corporate logo.
That's it.
Who owns it?
But if they're writing it down, you're saying, well, that's, again, we're disputing the law and the language. Because the thing about it, if you're looking at this as English and you're expecting me to look at this English, I'm looking at it as an acronym, and that states it in the Oxford Style Guide that this is an acronym. Yeah. So what does CARL stand for? My answer to that is can't access rotten language. That's the acronym for my name. But if you go and type in Carl in Google, and you look how many acronyms and how many things that stand for, game over. Because really, they're trying to put you down as a certain, as Troy said, this logo, this symbol.
Word art. Yeah.
But what does it actually mean? Because there has to be a meaning behind it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Again, that's one of the deep things. They'll just look at it and think, oh my God. Because we know that a company is just a fictitious entity. Yeah. It doesn't exist. You can't call the building the company. Yeah. It's just a thought. It's just a name floating around. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's deep. We know it's deep. But these are the certain things. All we've got to do is just throw at them, and they can't answer it. They cannot.
It says your name. It says a peasant or man of low birth.
There you go.
What can I say?
Exactly. We don't even have names anymore.
That's the etymology. That's the etymology. But go and look up the acronym Carl. And you'll see loads of different names come up.
Okay.
Or what the different meaning for Carl.
Yeah.
Nice. You know what I mean?
Troy, just a small point, but if you go this route, would you put this company inside the private trust or just leave it outside?
Well, the new registered, this private, what is it? The private company.
Yeah.
I'd leave it outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just as a vehicle for doing business.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we shouldn't worry too much because we can keep it outside the trust. Don't put it in the trust and just use it as a vehicle.
The thing about it, to answer
you can operate. You can operate it outside the trust and see how that goes. You see, but I wouldn't put it into the trust straight away because of the fact that it's got their logos and their seals and everything else. Because our stuff, everything we create from scratch. We create all our crests, all our seals, watermarks, and everything. So nothing with their seals come into our environment. That's the reason why I wouldn't put it in our private trust.
Yeah.
But the thing with the title deed, though, Leslie, but I think the idea is that that's the most superior claim that you're going to have against anything in that name. So therefore, it does make sense to keep it outside the trust. Is that right, Carl? Is that your thinking?
Yeah. I mean, I would say any trust you have, because that's the strongest document, all your trust would go in that one trust because that is a trust.
Yes.
That's the trust.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, that's just like having your ship. And then you're taking all your different trusts and everything and putting them on the ship.
You don't want to do that.
So that's something our one then, really, Leslie.
No. Ours is in a different realm. I think that's the point. This is doing business
with
in
this commercial. We set up our trust to do business in their jurisdiction.
It's all
we've tried all the other things, and they always come back with one thing or another. So we know we're going to have to do business with them. We just try to learn how to do business as easily as possible, with as little hassle as possible. And I think this is ammunition as well. But so far, I think we have to be more active, proactive. So instead of defending cases, you have to stand up and start. You need to be the offender instead of the defender.
Yes.
That's what I mean. If somebody breaches your rights, you need to start making claims as soon as possible, because they're used to people not making claims. That's how they get away with it.
Yeah.
That's right, Troy.
Did you guys see the video where I got stopped in the park by the police and they told me to move on, and I put them on a fee schedule of $5,000 if they wanted me to move, and the guy agreed to that.
Really?
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it.
Basically, I was sitting in the park bench just basically reading my book, and about one policeman came to me and he offered me to move. So I said, is that an order or a request? Because I'm in a different jurisdiction. I'm in the private. So and the thing about it, as soon as I said that, all the other police tried to jump in and break his contract with me, because he was offering me a contract to move. So I'm saying, is that an order or a request? Because if he's making an order, it's going to cost you $5,000 for me to go.
That's right.
So they tried to break the contract. Yeah. So I kept on him, and I said saying to him, do you agree to the fee schedule? As soon as you agree to the fee schedule, I move, because I have to be honorable, because you're offering me a contract. Yeah. You're offering me, I'm accepting on condition that you pay me $5,000.
Yeah.
He said, yes. I got up and went. Now I can write an invoice to the police for $5,000.
You gonna?
I just done it. I don't even worry about that.
I have millions of those, because I used to serve the affidavit.
What I wanted to do is what Troy was saying. We have to make this active. We have to be so if I videoed it and showed what I actually did and actually spoke to them and actually see how they reacted, then that can go out to everybody else in a certain sense to say, right, we can stand up to them. It's just we need to know. We've got to say the right thing,
Carl. Because if you're on the next step, then everyone's going to think, oh, well, yeah, you can talk about it. You need to do the next step and show somebody, look,
this is it.
Check.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what we do our claims. Or we say, I mean, we have claims and claims and claims and drafts of claims. We have claims under common law. So we have indictments, and we have statutory claims as well, to do false arrest and all this stuff. Because we sue these fuckers. We don't play with them.
Yeah, man.
So when you say to the guy, I'm going to sue you for breaching whatever, we actually go to court and fill the paperwork in. And whether or not it's successful, because they always find a way, the point is it's going to go on their record. They've breached the law, and sometimes they end up in court. I mean, I've had the police in court, in the high court as well.
Good.
Because for me, I don't play with them. It's not a matter we're just going to talk about it.
Did you win?
No, it's still pending, because they started some criminal thing against me. So when I was in the high court, they said my case has to be stayed because mine is a civil claim. So they brought all these charges, what they call criminal charges, against me to have my case stayed until these criminal charges are dealt with. So that's how.
Did you take it to county court, or was it to? Did you take it to county court, Troy, or did you take it to the high court?
My claim.
Private prosecution.
My claim is in the high court. I don't do county. County is an administrative court.
Yeah.
So you don't do. It's to do with corporations. If you want to sue someone, sue them in the high court, either Queen's Bench, and if you do with property, use the chancery.
Yeah.
And in your drafting, in your paperwork, you ask for a judge, not a quasi-judge. You ask for an equity judge. Okay, so it might take a while because they come on circuit. So they might come to your court, your district court, maybe once every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get that particular judge, and you have to ask for equity judge, not a judge, statutory one or quasi-judge. You see. And that's
in terms of being on the offensive, Troy, which is what you were saying, you're right. There's a lot of people that tend to. So if they receive a claim from an organisation, a corporation, they respond with a notice of conditional acceptance, and then they go quiet and they stop. But of course, the organisation might stop, and they might think. And then, of course, the individual.
They always come back. It's a 3-month cycle, because I've done this for years and I've seen the cycle. So what happens is
90 days, isn't it?
When we do our conditional acceptance, what we realized when we began this process was they leave you alone and people are happy. But after 3 months, they come back. It's like a quadrant. So they leave you alone for 3 months. You think it's finished, then you do the conditional acceptance again and again and again. But that's the process anyway.
But that's what I'm saying.
They do come back.
The point I was trying to make, because I haven't finished the point yet. So, the point I was trying to make, the idea is that we need to be so stubborn and think to ourselves, the only destination I'm going to is judgment against you.
Exactly. Exactly, because
And I'm gonna do
as soon as they
step-
write to you, that's fraud. As soon as they write to you, they're committing fraud.
That's
It's
it.
a false claim.
Someone has made a claim against your straw man. How dare they? Unless
It's an
they come up
invalid
with the
claim.
proof, but unless they come up with substantive proof,
Yeah.
you need to then go after them.
Yeah.
And don't wait.
And
After
and
10
it's-
days, you send your second letter. After 20 days, you send your third letter.
Yep.
After 40 days, you then send your affidavit, whatever it is. And
Agreement.
then the next thing is the N208, the Part 8 claim.
Claim
That's it.
form. Yep. That's it. That's it.
But Troy, why
Straight-
you don't do the private prosecution?
a private prosecution? What do you mean, for criminal or for
Yes,
civil?
CPS, we are criminal.
The criminal one is the private prosecution takes a minute, and it takes you into statutory jurisdiction to start with. And also the director, if you use their venues, the director has got authority to take over the case. Because I tried suing the CPS,
Yeah.
you see. Yeah. So that's the trouble with a private prosecution. You can do it, but you have to do everything yourself. So you have to hire the venue, and then you have to bring your own people, and you have to be the prosecutor. Actually, you have to present the case, but it's possible to do it. You can do a private prosecution. It's just time. That's the trouble. It takes a lot of effort for you to do it.
It'd be nice to find out, because what I was saying, what you were saying earlier on, Troy, now about doing your claims and stuff, it'd be nice because once you do the title deed and you take the company, then you can go after them again. But
Yeah,
now you're in the private setting.
Yeah.
Now they're stuffed because again you're saying, well, who was that contract with?
Yeah. You can do it. You can prosecute them in private. However, I'd say an indictment is probably better because you can do an indictment and put it in the high court. Because high court is a different jurisdiction, is a superior court, as they call it. Whereas if you're going to do a private prosecution, your first information goes into the magistrates.
Yeah.
And it's under what's the act? I have the document anyway. You can find online how to start a private prosecution or how to give information. I can't remember the form number, but usually it's just a one page that you do. So you go to the magistrate's court or fill the form, take it in, get it witnessed by a justice, and then they're going to file it into court. And then whoever you're suing is going to get summoned, you see. And then that's when you go in and present your case on the private, if you want to do a private prosecution.
We've got a case going on at the moment, Troy, where we're trying to use CPR rules 82.18 and 81.11, which is all to do with a solicitor.
What's that?
Well, in the CPR, there's something called a solicitor's undertaking, where they're meant to be, the duty of candour comes in. They're meant, when they start a claim, to give all the relevant documents up to the judge. But we all know they don't do that. They're very partisan in what they present. Now, it seems that these two CPR rules, they put it into the criminal jurisdiction. And we're troubling about the fact that we're trying to do it on 208, but got a bit sidetracked with the fact that in actual fact it's a private prosecution. But as you say, the CPS can step in and thwart that, and given it solicitors, they will do that to protect their system. So you're saying you can go in the High Court with this and just do it as ask for a committal off of a judge under that CPR 82.18 and 81.11, which is
right. CPRs. If you're going to use CPRs, you understand that's for corporations. If you're going to go in as a living woman, you don't use CPRs. You see, so your drafting is got no CPRs at all. All their rules and procedures apply on corporate fictions only. You see. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. If you get called up in court, for example, using this method, for example, all you would have to do is take a photocopy of that and send it into the miscellaneous folder. And they've got it in their books and their accounts now in their court. So anytime your name gets tapped in, that will relate to that document in the miscellaneous files. And once they see that, they'll know straight away there ain't no contracts with this company.
Yeah.
There's no contract. So game over.
Is your claim, Leslie, is it civil or criminal, the one you're talking about?
Well, it's basically to do with council tax. A council put a liability order on a trust even after he'd shown the trust documents, which should have moved it straight to Chancery. And he also did some DSARs and Freedom of Information Act requests, which they didn't respond to. So that's a breach of the pre-action protocol. So by virtue of the fact that the solicitor who progressed a final charging order on his property on the basis of a liability order didn't disclose the fact that they breached pre-action protocol and had gone against a trust when they shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
We're using.
So you ask for a reversal of the judgment.
Well, not only that, because these two, it's breach of solicitor's undertaking, which is in effect a criminal act, and it's an indictable offence on the solicitor. So we're asking for an indictment on the solicitor for breaching his oath and not filing the documents properly.
Asking who? Which court is it? Which court is it in?
High Court on a 208.
Which division?
Queen's Bench. I suppose we should be going to Chancery because it's.
Is it in a Queen's Bench or is it Chancery?
It should be Chancery. It's an estate. Yeah.
So is it your claim?
Yes.
Is it your claim?
Not mine personally, but another trust.
No. Yeah, I mean, are you the bringer of the claim?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What was the claim?
The original claim was that they put a final charging order on his property at Land Registry on the strength of a liability order for council tax. And all
was that a false claim? Was it a claim of false claim, or what's? You know, when you draft your documents,
yeah,
and you do a statement of case,
yeah.
What was the claim? What are you claiming in your statement of case?
We're claiming that there's a tort of misfeasance and misconduct
on the part of the solicitors.
On the part of the solicitors because of breach of pre-action protocol, not answering DSAR,
okay,
and not putting in the fact that it was an estate that was being used in that jurisdiction when it should have been transferred straight to. So it's a breach of Chancery guidelines. So that's basically. Yeah,
I mean, the statutory stuff is crazy because I'd say to you what you're doing is right, but if you're going to get involved in statutes, that's litigation. Yeah. You're going to be there forever, especially when you're using the CPRs and acts and this and the other. Because that's how solicitors make money, is to drag the court case as long as possible. Yeah. Because they get paid every time they go to the venue and talk their rubbish. They get paid anyway. You see, so it's in their best interest to drag it out. When it comes to council tax. Council tax, what you need to do right now is to call for, make a claim for them to pay you back what they took without legislative authority.
Right.
So with the council, if you want to play games, what you do is say to them, you collected council tax from me with between so many years in the amount of so much without legislative authority. No, please pay me back or I'm gonna sue you.
Yeah.
You see? And go after them that way. That's how I deal with the council.
Can I ask a question, Leslie?
Yeah, go on.
Do you know with the trust?
Yeah.
Does that have a director?
No. It's got a general executor.
It's got a what?
General executor.
Oh, the executor.
And who's the name of that?
That's the Christian name with "and" in between the Christian name and the surname. So that'd be Leslie Catherine and Muggeridge.
Okay.
The living person.
See, because you put down the name, they're probably going to ignore the "and."
Yeah.
Because they can't find it at Companies House as a company. Because remember, when you was born, you were made into a company.
Yeah.
But that was implied rights. And you haven't dissolved that implied rights. You're still under implied right.
Yeah. Once
you take the full deed title back, you're expressing the rights. Now, everybody will know about that and they'll just leave you alone.
Yeah.
Because you're expressing the right. You're saying that you're not under the system or the birth certificate or whatever anymore. Yeah. You're saying this is completely private. This is expressed. Because Companies House will express that to everybody.
Right.
And they will know that not to trouble you.
Right.
And the thing about it, going back to the council tax, how are they writing your name? Are they writing your name in all capital letters?
No, to this chap, they did it to Stephen, Mark and Bullen. So the council recognised the living entity, but the solicitors just turfed that into a final charging order.
You see, because they don't hold the full private...
Right, with the solicitors, this is what we do with solicitors, okay? It's still conditional acceptance. Number one, what you could do is this. You could write to the court and make a claim of a fraud upon the court, you see, based on hearsay evidence. And say the solicitor, whoever the solicitor was that gave evidence, had no first-hand knowledge of the facts. The solicitor cannot give evidence in court. So that's enough to get rid of the solicitor. It's a fraud upon the court. So they can stay proceedings based on that, you see, away from CPRs and everything else. Because I'm saying if you're going to use CPRs, then you need to recognize that you need to be representing the corporation when you're using the CPRs. If you're representing yourselves, they go out the window and just drop your claim. I claim that this man took some money away from me, and that is it. There's no CPR attached to it, no acts, nothing. You see, that's a private affair. When you start using statutes, this is when corporations come in. So if you're going to use CPR, you always need to know that you're representing the corporation and it's not you. So the living woman is out the window, so you cannot even argue inalienable anything, you see. Right. With the council and council tax is to identify their own statutes, which say that the council is liable for the council tax of the county.
Yes.
And that's what you send to the court. And ask them to reverse whatever judgment was based on non-payment of that tax, because they're liable for it. You see, so we try to simplify stuff and just remove all the fluff and just go in for the kill. Just go for the jugular. Which one is going to kill it first?
Thank you.